Hi everyone, Matt from Figured here. In this video we're going to have a quick look at building out next season's forecast. Starting with the production trackers on my demo farm here, we'll look at using actual data from the 2022 season to populate 2023's forecast, and then we'll move into the planning grid to do the same. Firstly, starting with the milk tracker, you can see I'm still in 2022 and I've got a full year of actual information populated with the seasonal production curve down here. Now this is what we'll use to push out to 2023's forecast. So moving over to 2023, the easiest way to build this out from 2022's actuals is to click into this production button here and click last year's actuals. Now you can base this on last year actuals, or you can also use a snapshot if there is one in there as well. You may also want to copy last year's milk prices, but as this season for 2023's prices have already been updated, I'm not going to opt to pull these through. You can also adjust the production figure for what you would like to see populated out for the 2023 season, and this will still match the curve from last year. Now you can see I've pulled in this total figure. I've increased the production by 10,000 kgms, and this is pulled through seasonally based on that curve from last year's actuals. And if you go and update any cells manually on top of this, just be sure you're clicking Save Changes afterwards to lock those changes down. While we're in here, it's also important to mention that you should be including the updated milking platform and peak cows, as this will allow you to draw insights from the production report, and it's also going to populate your stocking rate and kgms per cow. So we've now built out a forecast for our milk tracker for 2023. Now let's move into the livestock trackers. Livestock trackers have an export-import function under the Tools button here. All you need to do is click Export, and I'll be exporting my actuals for 2022. I can download that CSV file and then re-upload it into the 2023 year. Now moving into the 2023 season, again, Tools, Import, add that as a forecast. I've got the year 2023. I'll choose that file that I've just downloaded locally, and I can choose to keep all existing transactions or delete any. I'm going to have those dates adjusted to this year. Once I've chosen it, click Import, and that will update. You can now see all the movements have been added in from the 2022 season, and I've got actuals to none up here, which is showing a full year of forecast for 2023. Once you have these populated, the easiest way to go to edit and adjust for the next season is on a monthly view and click into any of these cells. When you scroll down, you'll be able to see the different movements that have been added in, and you can easily click through here and adjust them for that season. We'll move on to the planning grid now and look at importing all your other income and expenses. So now we're located in the planning grid under planning grid, and it's the same for this as the trackers. We've got a full season of actuals for 2022 that we can use to build out the forecast for 2023. So as we've got 12 months of last year's actuals, we can use this to populate this year's forecast under Tools, Import, last year's actuals. So if I click Import now, what this will do is it's going to start loading and importing that data into the 2023 season. And as a safety feature, Figured automatically takes what's called a pre-import snapshot when you complete this function. This is to ensure any valuable forecast data is not lost by accident. This is also why the Approve Plan button has changed to Take Snapshot, as the first snapshot of the season has been taken. Not to worry though, there's no limit on snapshots you can take, and you can always manage them, archiving unwanted ones or changing what one is set to the season's annual plan through your snapshot management located down here. And as you'll see, if I scroll down, I've now got a full season's forecast built out based on last year's actuals. Now, if you didn't have 12 months of actual data, there's another way you can do this, and it's similar to the livestock trackers, where you can click Export, and you can export through a CSV file. So if I wanted to export a mixture of actuals and forecasts from the 2022 season, I'll select the actuals to date, download that as a CSV, and then re-upload into the 2023 season. Now that can be helpful if you prefer to work out of Excel or Google Sheets before converting to a CSV and re-importing. You can also run a formula over all those numbers if you want to increase them at scale by a certain percentage to account for inflation, for example. Otherwise, if you want to adjust the forecast within Figured, there's a couple of tips you can use to help you do this. One of them being spreading on the curve. So for example, if I wanted to increase my fertilizer costs from what it was last year. So say for example, this was going to be increasing to 15,000. If I select that on the curve and select that on last year's actuals for 2022 data, I can spread that $15,000 amount across, and it's going to update proportionally compared to the expense profile where that was paid out last season. So if I spread that across now, you can see that those months have jumped up proportionately to where they were paid out from the last season. Or similarly, if you wanted to increase by a certain percentage, you could use the total figure from last year and then spread that across by that percentage for the month. So in this example, we can say 3786 times 1.05. We can spread that across monthly, and that has adjusted the 5% spread across the whole season. So that sums up the video today. We've gone over building out those forecasts in the production trackers first, and then pulling through last year's actuals into this year's forecast for the planning grid. After that, you would take a snapshot, and then you would put the full year budget for the next season.